Dero, tuna roll.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he is back. Back like a vertebrate, excited to have the man back on the seats. Fakii, welcome back to CTA.
Thank you.
Have you been kwanza?
Niko sawa kabisa.
Uko sawa kabisa.
I've been good. Thankful. It was a long year, 2021. We are, of course, grateful. We made it into 2022. And I've been telling people this when they ask me, what do you think about 2022? And I say, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Because of the vid. COVID taught us how to be.
Yeah, man.
I'm same here. Excited, super happy to have you back. Let me first tell you, after Nyash, you are the most requested person to come back here. So I'm so glad. I was like, nah, whatever season it is, me and Derek are on. I don't even know. I was like, 2022, we need to kick it off with you. So you are our priority. We chilled a bit of January, but it's a pleasure to have you. Kwanza,
thank you.
What do you think about our new venue? You know, you've been to all our venues.
Yes.
You've shot at all our venues.
Yeah.
This is the 4th time you are returning to CTA.
Wow.
What do you think about this?
It's amazing. First of all, I can even tell from the way you guys are so much more relaxed. The room is magnificent. Like, I was even going to ask you, can I stay the night, you know? The breakfast. Oh, Sarova Panafric, thank you for breakfast.
Yep.
Can't wait for lunch.
Lunch in a camp, Sijali. Lunch in a camp.
Yeah.
Okay, Fakii. Before we go into random stories, let's get back into this thing.
Okay.
Your story, I don't even know where we left it off last. I remember we had started with Nyash. We had talked about a few songs of his. We had definitely talked about the one with Nameless.
Let It Go.
Let It Go.
The first one, yeah.
We had talked about...
The half.
Yes, the half. Yes, the half. Yes.
Yeah.
We therefore... actually, you take this baton. What would you like
I
to
know
say?
we left it off at around somewhere 2018.
Is there a recap that you want? By the way, did you want Sanaipe's CTA?
Wait.
Umetajwa.
I saw.
Umetajwa.
Yeah. We left off at 2018. And I think we had talked about like the first 4 songs. And then we also talked about going to the US.
Yes.
In 2018, just after I left Coca-Cola, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so 2018 now became that year when I left Coca-Cola, and I'd registered my company the year before, 2017, when I was preparing to leave.
And just what's the name of the company again?
Password Ventures Ltd.
Okay.
So what I wanted to do at that point was around media, music, entertainment, especially because that's where I'd been all
Actually,
through.
hold on. We didn't talk about you going to the States. You told us we left, and then me and Nyash jumped on a plane.
Oh.
Then because I'm like, I can't remember anything about you being in the States with Nyash.
Yeah, so we went for, what's it called? We went for the Rugby Sevens gig. Because that was the Sevens weekend. I think that was the last weekend of Feb, first weekend of March.
Yep.
Was when there was a Rugby Sevens in the States. And I think, if I'm not wrong, it was LA. So what happens is the promoters in the US do gigs in the state that Rugby Sevens would be, because Kenya being one of the big teams that plays, then Kenyans from all over the states actually congregate in one state. Then guys do different gigs. So we were headlining one of those gigs. So we went for that gig
Okay,
in the US.
and let me ask, now, I'm thinking about the value of you as a manager. How does somebody even get this call? Do they call you as a manager? Do they call Nyash and then Nyash sends them to you?
No, by that time they call me, because by that time
you had even taken Wakina Nameless, so they remembered you. Is it?
Yes. There's from 2006, 2008, a lot of promoters from that time remember me. But as soon as Nyash came back, because we had always thought of the States, because the States is always a big deal in terms of gigging, we had always thought of how to reach that market. Now, back to feedback. One of the things that we started noticing from the back end of YouTube and the digital platforms, the analytics, is that like half of your streams come from the US. And of course, now you start seeing that it's actually Kenyans in the US, because you also now start seeing it in the comments. So that's a big market. So what are done all through that time?
32% of people who watch CTA are from the States. 32% of my audience.
I think from the analytics of music, and not just Nyash, for different Kenyan artists, I think about 45 to 50% comes from the US. Yes. And the importance of, okay, of course you know this, but let me just say it. The importance of that market is the pay rate.
CPM.
Yes, the CPM there is much higher.
Much higher.
So of course, you're looking to get as many numbers from there as possible.
For sure. I love what you're saying, and just to educate somebody, for example, for every 1,000 views that Kenyans watch, my CPM would probably be about, and my CPM on CT is very high, so I think because of the kind of content that I chuck. It can be anywhere between $2 to $10 for the Kenyan audience.
Okay.
For the Stato audience, I've had a video even have a CPM of $500.
Wow.
Leadership.
Wow.
Conversation.
Wow.
I've had some Noninis and Juakalis who are doing about $40 for every 1,000 views. So CPM is a huge thing.
So because it reflects in music also, and not just on YouTube, also on the other audio platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Tidal and all that. Because like, for example, we don't have Tidal here, but when you look at the analytics, you actually see Tidal on that side. You see even Pandora, things that we don't use here. So of course you realize that that's a big market. So when I had my list of people I was sending music out to, I would always have the promoters and the DJs from the diaspora. So you actually have to go out of your way to look for these guys. And it's not hard to look for, it's not hard to get them.
Not in today's day and age.
Let me tell you, it's so easy. In fact, let me even just give an example. You know someone in the US or in the UK, you probably follow them on IG or FB. They go out, then they mention, or they even show you a photo or a video of DJ so-and-so playing. You start following that DJ. In his IG or FB, his email address is there. Add it to your
mailing list.
Yeah. It's that simple. Then now you start creating a rapport, because the beauty about those guys is that guy will reach out to you and ask you, can you help me get music from this and this artist, this and this artist? Can you send me the 3-piece of that song? So you start creating a rapport with them. So by the time then your songs grow, or rather the songs of the artist you're managing grow, then the calls are coming to you directly. And those calls, so that you know how important that relationship is, those calls would come for even other artists who I'm not managing, because they don't know how to reach.
You become the focal point.
Yes. So now I'd be the
international manager for.
So now I'd be the guy to say, okay, for so and so, this is his manager and this is the number.
For Tile Brown, call Noriega.
Yes, like that.
This guy, call this guy.
Like that.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that sometimes people can just think that Nyash kwa jina kubwa, him just putting all he does is put his video on YouTube and it blows up.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing you say, you have a mailing list that you are sending the 3-piece to DJs abroad based on data from the platforms that we all have access to.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys go.
And if I just take it back, you see, like, because we'd always release songs in the morning. So what I would do is while the morning part of my day, I would deal with especially Kenya, Uganda, TZ,
same time zone,
media and DJs. I knew that the second half of my day, the later second half of my day, now would be diaspora. So I'd start off with UK, because now them that come in 3 hours later. So I'd start off with them, make sure it gets to DJ Edu, because if it gets through to DJ Edu, you appear on BBC One Extra.
Yo.
And BBC One Extra is a big deal. And once you appear in those shows, that's how now you start building to get to end up someday doing the Wizkid kind of O2 shows. Because you start building that rap. Because BBC One Extra does the African, Edu does the African show on BBC One Extra. So he's always profiling top African acts. If you look at his playlist and you look at the people who do those O2 shows, there's a correlation.
For those who don't know, O2, that's one of the biggest venues for in Wembley.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get to O2. This is one of the ways.
But you've already followed DJ Edu to the point where you know he's got this African show on this BBC thing.
And value of relationships, I worked with Edu in HomeBoyz.
I'll tell you why this is important.
Yeah. So
you go to States now.
So we go to States. We do the show in States. Now, there's something that artists do when they go to States, and I'm hoping it won't come out badly when I say it, but let me just say it for the sake of other artists. When you're called for a big show, like 4th of July, like the rugby gig that we went for, there's tendency of the promoters or DJs there, and not in a bad way for them, because for them it's business. They'll then tell you, so you extend for another week and do another show in this other state. And because the numbers will be smaller, then of course the money they're offering you is much smaller. A lot of people then get caught up and do that extension. But it's a dangerous thing. Because number one, the money keeps on going lower and lower and lower. If I tell you some of the fees that people get paid, and I know it's a delicate balance between let me get it while I can.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to build your brand longer, you avoid those small shows. You'd rather even say you want to extend in Stato by like a week or 2 weeks, and then ask the promoter, like let's say, to get you an Airbnb, or fly and hook up with another of your pals and stay with them if you really want to enjoy the US. But avoid those small shows, because you expose yourself out there. By the time the next big weekend comes, you won't really be called. You get? Yeah.
Your scarcity is not as scarce. It's not there anymore.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah. The mystery of your brand is...
Yeah. So we did that gig and came back home.
What?
Yeah.
And of course they asked you.
Yeah, of course they ask you. Of course they ask you. Of course they ask you. But by then, we were at that level where after that kind of weekend, you had to come back home because there was a show waiting for you on this side. You know?
Yeah.
And you'd find that even if Stato were paying that well for the main show,
2 weekends here, you're good.
Yeah. Plus, at that point, the money that Stato were offering you for the other weekends was like 10% of what you'd get here. Yeah. And some people just take it because it's Stato, but you know. Yeah, so we came back.
Also, you guys had done this before.
Yeah.
You had already been to Stato a couple of times.
Nyash had been in the States for like, you know.
He's like, nataka kurudi home.
But actually, sometimes you get homesick. You actually get homesick. Because there are those things. Let me give you an example. You go to a restaurant, and in fact, let me ask you, now I want you to tell me in English, ukitaka maji, what do you say?
Have some water.
So no one will give you water there.
I didn't say water.
Exactly, my friend.
Water.
Let me tell you, I didn't understand it until we were at a restaurant and I asked for water. And the guy who was serving could not understand until Nyash said it. Then I looked at him, and right there I understood
why guys get twins.
Why guys get those accents. You know, I realized it's hard to explain that until you experience it. Because there were many places where we're going to, I'd say something and people don't understand. Then Nyash is standing right next to me. Then he says it with that accent, and people understand. I'm like, wow. I understand.
Now imagine living there. You have to do that for 2 years every day.
Imagine Nyash did that for 10 years.
Exactly. Hey, so Nyash can just switch it up, eh?
Hey, let me tell you. Sometimes when we go for such trips, we chill with him. You hear him talking, then you're like, who are you? You know? Yeah.
Okay. So
and then this I have to say, it's so funny that you see, Nyash had been in the US for 10 years. So by the time we're going in 2018, you know, immigration, for us to go through immigration, like I waited for Nyash for like an hour.
Because they're like, kwa nini mse anarudi?
Exactly. Let me tell you, the questions those guys are asked when they go back.
Yeah.
Like, so in like questions like, so in between while you were in Kenya, did you go to Somalia?
Yeah.
Did you have visitors from Somalia?
Wow.
You know,
like just go under YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we did US. We came back. We continued with music. That was the time when we did Hayawani. That was the time when we did.
Is there a particular story behind that?
Hayawani. Hayawani, I think, was more. I think Nyash had written Hayawani around 2017, time for elections. But we just didn't do it at that time.
Okay.
But it was because there's stuff in there that's about just the illness, the ill whatever's in the world. So I think that was just the feeling around that time. Then of course, again, back to analytics, you realize R&B, love songs,
off the roof.
You know. So of course we had to go back to do that. And so we did Baby Baby.